The clock on Alex's desk ticked past midnight, its faint sound blending with the soft hum of his laptop fan. He sat cross-legged on his bed, scrolling through old photos stored on an external hard drive he had found in the attic earlier that day. The images were a mix of family vacations, school events, and candid moments, remnants of a life before everything changed. His father, Dr. Samuel Carter, smiled back at him from one photo after another, looking proud yet mysterious, as if hiding some great secret behind those kind eyes. Alex sighed and leaned back against the wall. It had been 5 years since his father passed away, leaving behind unanswered questions about his work as a scientist. Some said he was brilliant. Others whispered rumors of experiments gone wrong. But no matter what people thought, Alex missed him dearly. Tonight, however, something felt different. There was an odd energy in the air, almost like static electricity crackling just out of reach. As he clicked through more files, a sudden flash of light erupted in the corner of his room. Startled, Alex dropped the mouse and shielded his face instinctively. When he lowered his arm, his breath caught in his throat. Standing near his bookshelf was a girl, or at least, she looked like a girl. Her skin shimmered faintly, glowing with hues of blue and silver, and her long hair seemed to float around her head as though caught in an invisible breeze. She blinked slowly, her wide eyes reflecting curiosity and uncertainty. "Who are you?" Alex stammered, scrambling off the bed. His heart pounded so loudly he could barely hear himself speak. The girl tilted her head slightly, studying him as if trying to understand his words. Then, after a moment, she spoke in a voice that sounded both musical and otherworldly. "I am Lyra," she said softly, "from Zenthara." Alex stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or panic. Was this some elaborate prank? A hallucination brought on by exhaustion? He pinched the back of his hand just to be sure. No, she was still there. "What do you mean, from Zenthara?" he asked cautiously, taking a step closer. "Are you an alien?" Lyra nodded once, her expression unreadable. "Yes. My world is not like yours. But I did not come here by choice." She gestured toward the spot where the light had appeared moments ago. There was an error, a malfunction during transport. Transport? Alex's mind raced. This couldn't be real. Aliens didn't just show up in bedrooms uninvited. Yet here she stood, glowing faintly in the dim light of his desk lamp. Her presence was impossible to ignore. Taking a deep breath, Alex tried to gather his thoughts. "Okay," he said slowly. "Let me get this straight. You're from another planet, and somehow you ended up in my room because of a glitch." "In simple terms, yes," Lyra replied. She stepped forward carefully, her movements graceful but uncertain, as if navigating unfamiliar terrain. "Your father knew my people. He worked with us many years ago. Perhaps that is why I arrived here." "My dad." Alex's voice cracked slightly. "What does he have to do with any of this?" Lyra hesitated, her luminous eyes searching his face. "He helped create the technology that allows travel between dimensions. Without him, we would never have discovered your world." Alex shook his head, overwhelmed. All these years, he'd thought his father was just a regular scientist working on obscure projects. Now it turned out he'd been collaborating with aliens. It was too much to process. "And let me guess," Alex said dryly, running a hand through his messy hair. "You need my help fixing whatever went wrong so you can go home." "That is correct," Lyra admitted. "But time is limited. Others may already know I am here." "Others?" Alex repeated, his stomach sinking. "What kind of others?" Before Lyra could answer, a low rumble echoed outside, followed by the distant sound of breaking glass. Alex froze, his pulse quickening. Whatever trouble Lyra had brought with her, it seemed to be closing in fast. For now, though, they were alone. Alex glanced at the glowing figure standing awkwardly beside his cluttered desk. Despite the absurdity of the situation, he couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't dangerous. If anything, she looked scared, lost, even. "All right," Alex said finally, letting out a shaky breath. "We'll figure this out. But first, we need to keep you hidden until morning. Can you turn down the glowy thing?" Lyra raised her hands experimentally, and the shimmering light surrounding her dimmed slightly. "Better?" she asked. "Yeah," Alex muttered, grabbing a hoodie from the floor and tossing it to her. "Put this on, and try not to touch anything important. We got a lot to talk about." As Lyra slipped on the oversized sweatshirt, Alex couldn't help but wonder how his quiet, uneventful life had spiraled into chaos overnight. One thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The first light of dawn filtered through Alex's bedroom curtains, casting a pale glow over the strange scene inside. Lyra sat cross-legged on the floor, her shimmering skin now dimmed to a faint luminescence beneath the oversized hoodie Alex had given her. She looked like an ordinary teenager, except for the occasional spark of energy that flickered around her fingertips. Across from her, Alex leaned against his bed, arms crossed and brows furrowed, as he tried to make sense of everything she told him. "So," Alex began hesitantly, breaking the silence, "you're saying my dad worked with aliens? Like actual extraterrestrials?" Lyra nodded, her expression calm but serious. "Yes. Your father was a brilliant scientist. He helped us develop technology to bridge the gap between our worlds. But it wasn't just about communication. It was about understanding." Alex let out a dry laugh, shaking his head in disbelief. "Understanding? You mean, like intergalactic pen pals? That doesn't sound like something my dad would get involved in." His voice softened as memories flooded back. Long nights when his father would disappear into his lab, emerging only to tuck Alex into bed or share cryptic advice about curiosity and courage. "He was more than you knew," Lyra said gently, as if sensing his inner turmoil. "His work changed the course of relations between Earth and Zenthora. Without him, we might never have discovered your world, or trusted it." "Trusted it?" Alex echoed, raising an eyebrow. "Why would aliens need to trust humans? Aren't we just insignificant compared to all the other planets out there?" Lyra hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Your planet is unique. It holds potential, untapped resources, untold possibilities. But it is also fragile. Many factions believe Earth should remain untouched, isolated until it evolves further. Others see it as a threat, fearing what humanity might become." Alex frowned, absorbing her words. The idea that Earth could be both valuable and vulnerable unsettled him. For years, he'd felt like an outsider himself, awkward and disconnected from those around him. Now, hearing that his entire species might share that same status on a cosmic scale made him feel even smaller. "And what do you think?" he asked finally, meeting her gaze. "Do you think we're worth trusting?" Lyra smiled faintly, her luminous eyes softening. "I think your kind has much to offer. Passion, creativity, resilience. These are qualities we admire, but they come with risks. That is why your father's role was so important. He believed in balance." Before Alex could respond, a sharp knock at the door startled them both. "Alex?" came a muffled voice from the hallway. It was Mrs. Peterson, their nosy neighbor who often checked in on him since his mother worked late shifts at the hospital. Yeah," Alex called out, scrambling to his feet. "Just, getting ready for school." "You better hurry up," Mrs. Peterson replied before shuffling away. Alex exhaled sharply, glancing at Lyra. "We can't stay here," he whispered urgently. "If anyone finds out you're here—" He trailed off, unsure how to finish the sentence. Trouble with shadowy alien factions. Government agents storming the house. None of it seemed real, yet every instinct screamed at him to keep moving. Lyra stood up, brushing imaginary dust off the hoodie. "I understand. Lead me somewhere safe. I will follow your guidance." Her trust in him, despite their limited time together, struck Alex deeply. He grabbed his backpack and stuffed it with essentials, a flashlight, snacks, and his laptop, and motioned for Lyra to follow him. They crept downstairs quietly, avoiding creaky steps and loose floorboards. Once outside, the crisp morning air hit them like a shock. The neighborhood was peaceful, bathed in golden sunlight, but Alex couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked nearby. They headed toward the old storage shed behind the house, where Alex stored tools and forgotten projects from his childhood. Inside, the space was cramped but private, offering a temporary refuge. As they settled in, Alex turned to Lyra, determined to uncover more answers. "Okay," he said firmly, pulling out his laptop. "Tell me everything. How did this malfunction happen? And why were you trying to contact Vorthen?" Lyra hesitated, then began explaining. "Vorthen is one of the leaders of Zenthara. He requested data stored within devices your father left behind. We used these devices to maintain stability in dimensional travel. However, during retrieval, something disrupted the process, a surge of energy I cannot explain. Could it have been caused by Earth's environment?" Alex asked, thinking aloud. "Maybe the atmosphere here interferes with your tech." "It is possible," Lyra admitted. "Our systems are calibrated for Zenthara's conditions. Adjustments may be necessary." Alex nodded thoughtfully. If his father had designed the original tech, perhaps there were notes or blueprints hidden somewhere in the house. "There's got to be something useful upstairs," he muttered, already planning their next move. But as they discussed logistics, Lyra suddenly tensed, her glowing skin flaring brighter for a split second. "Someone approaches," she whispered, her voice urgent. "What? Where?" Alex spun around, heart racing. Sure enough, footsteps crunched against the gravel path leading to the shed. Someone, or something, was coming closer. "Stay quiet," Alex instructed, grabbing a wrench from the workbench. He didn't know what he'd do if confronted, but standing still wasn't an option either. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a tall figure silhouetted against the bright morning sun. For a moment, Alex feared the worst. But then a familiar voice broke the tension. "Alex, what are you doing out here?" It was Jake, his best friend since middle school. Relief washed over Alex, though not entirely. Jake's timing couldn't have been worse. "Hey man," Alex said casually, stepping forward to block Jake's view of Lyra. "Just checking some stuff for a project." Jake raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. "At 7 in the morning? You hate mornings." Alex forced a laugh. "Yeah, well, inspiration strikes at weird times, right?" Behind him, Lyra remained silent, her presence concealed in the shadows. Jake squinted past Alex, suspicion growing. "Is someone else here?" "Nope." Alex lied smoothly, closing the distance between them. "Just me and my tools. Listen, I'll catch up with you later, okay? Got a lot to do." Jake shrugged, backing away reluctantly. "All right, dude. Don't forget we've got practice after school." As soon as Jake disappeared down the path, Alex let out a shaky breath. "That was close," he murmured, turning back to Lyra. "We need to be more careful. People are going to notice if two mysterious strangers start snooping around town." Lyra nodded solemnly. "Agreed. But we must act quickly. Time is slipping away." Determined to protect Lyra and uncover the truth about his father's legacy, Alex resolved to dig deeper into the secrets buried in his attic. Little did he know, each step forward would bring them closer to danger and revelations that would change everything they thought they knew. The attic was a treasure trove of forgotten memories and dusty relics, but today it felt like the gateway to another world. Alex climbed the creaky wooden ladder first, flashlight in hand, with Lyra following close behind. Her movements were cautious yet graceful, as though she were navigating unfamiliar terrain, which in many ways she was. The beam of light illuminated stacks of old boxes, piles of yellowed papers, and shelves lined with tools and gadgets that looked more like props from a sci-fi movie than actual equipment. "This is where my dad kept most of his work," Alex explained, brushing cobwebs aside as he moved deeper into the cluttered space. "If there's anything useful here, we'll find it." Lyra nodded, her luminous eyes scanning the room with quiet intensity. She reached out tentatively toward one of the devices, a small metallic sphere covered in dials and switches, and touched it lightly. To Alex's astonishment, the object hummed softly, its surface glowing faintly under her fingertips. "What just happened?" Alex asked, staring at the activated device. "It responds to energy," Lyra replied simply, pulling her hand back. "Your father designed these tools to interact with beings like me. They recognize Zenthera's resonance." Alex blinked, trying to process what she meant. Everything about this situation, Lyra's presence, his father's mysterious past, the strange technology scattered around them, felt surreal. Yet there was no denying the evidence before him. These weren't ordinary inventions. They were artifacts of something far greater. As they began searching through the boxes, Alex stumbled upon an old journal bound in worn leather. Its pages were filled with his father's neat handwriting, accompanied by diagrams and equations that might as well have been written in another language. Flipping through it, Alex noticed recurring symbols that matched those etched onto some of the devices in the attic. "Look at this," he said, showing Lyra the journal. "Do these mean anything to you?" Lyra studied the symbols intently, her brow furrowing slightly. "They are codes. Instru. Kitchens for calibrating dimensional frequencies. Your father must have documented his experiments here." A spark of excitement lit up Alex's face. If they could decipher the notes, maybe they could fix whatever went wrong during Lyra's transport. But before he could say anything, a sudden noise startled them both, a soft rustling sound coming from the corner of the attic. They froze, listening intently. "Did you hear that?" Alex whispered, gripping the flashlight tighter. Lyra nodded, her expression wary. She stepped forward cautiously, her shimmering skin dimming as if to avoid drawing attention. As they approached the source of the sound, Alex realized it was nothing more than a loose shutter banging against the window frame outside. He let out a shaky laugh, embarrassed by his own jumpiness. "We're probably safe for now," he muttered, setting the journal down on a nearby table. "But we should hurry. Whoever, or whatever, is looking for you isn't going to wait forever." Over the next few hours, Alex and Lyra worked together to piece together the puzzle left behind by his father. Alex focused on organizing the physical components, sorting through wires, circuits, and odd-looking gadgets, while Lyra used her innate understanding of Zentheran technology to identify which parts might still be functional. Their collaboration revealed not only their differences, but also a growing connection between them. At one point, Alex handed Lyra a peculiar crystal fragment he found tucked inside a metal case. As soon as she touched it, the shard pulsed with light, sending ripples of energy across her skin. Startled, Alex took a step back. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. "I'm fine," Lyra assured him, though her tone carried a hint of wonder. "This crystal amplifies my abilities. It allows me to manipulate Earth's environment in ways I didn't expect." To demonstrate, she raised her hand toward the ceiling, and a faint glow spread outward, illuminating the entire attic. Shadows danced along the walls, creating patterns that seemed almost alive. Then, without warning, the light shifted, forming shapes that resembled constellations. "Whoa," Alex breathed, mesmerized. "Is that your planet?" "Yes," Lyra replied softly. "Zenthera's skies are vast and beautiful. This is how I remember home." For a moment, Alex forgot about the urgency of their mission. He stood transfixed, watching as the glowing images faded back into darkness. There was something deeply personal about the way Lyra shared her memories, as if inviting him into a part of her world that few others would ever see. Their progress came with unexpected challenges. As the day wore on, Lyra began showing signs of fatigue. Her glowing skin dimmed further, and her movements became slower, less fluid. Concerned, Alex pressed her for answers. "You've been using too much energy," he said, recalling how she had manipulated the light earlier. "Does being here drain you?" Lyra hesitated, then nodded. "Earth's atmosphere is different from mine. Prolonged exposure weakens me, but I cannot stop, not until the device is repaired." Alex frowned, guilt twisting in his chest. He hadn't considered how much strain this mission was putting on her. Determined to help, he rummaged through the remaining boxes until he found what appeared to be a small generator-like device. Its design bore similarities to the crystals Lyra had described earlier. "This might recharge you," he suggested, holding it up. "Can you try interfacing with it?" Lyra examined the device carefully, then placed her hands on either side of it. A low hum filled the air as the machine powered on, emitting a warm golden glow. Slowly, color returned to Lyra's cheeks, or rather, her equivalent of cheeks, and her posture straightened. "Thank you," she said, offering him a grateful smile. "I feel stronger now." Despite her recovery, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Every moment they spent in the attic brought them closer to discovery, and yet working alongside Lyra gave him a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. For the first time since his father's death, Alex felt connected to someone, to something larger than himself. As evening approached, they finally assembled the prototype device based on the journal's instructions. It was a crude contraption, patched together from mismatched parts, but it held promise. When Alex flipped the switch, the machine whirred to life, emitting a high-pitched tone that made both of them wince. "It's working," Alex exclaimed, grinning despite the noise. "Now we just need to test it." Lyra placed her hand over the device, her fingers hovering above its surface. Suddenly, the air around them shimmered, and a faint outline of a portal began to form. But before it could stabilize, the machine sputtered and died, leaving them bathed in silence. Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. "We're close, but something's missing. Maybe we need more power or a specific frequency." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps, or perhaps," she trailed off, glancing at Alex with a curious expression. "Perhaps you play a role in this as well." "Me?" Alex echoed, confused. "What do I have to do with interdimensional travel?" Instead of answering directly, Lyra reached out and placed her hand on his arm. A jolt of warmth shot through him, followed by a flood of images, his father standing beside Vorthan, discussing blueprints, the two of them laughing over cups of coffee, and finally, a young Alex building model rockets in the backyard, his father cheering him on. "These memories are tied to the device," Lyra explained gently. "Your bond with your father strengthens the connection. You are essential to completing it." Alex stared at her, stunned. All this time, he'd thought his father's work was beyond him, too complex, too distant. But now, faced with the possibility that he might actually hold the key to fixing everything, he felt a surge of determination. "All right," he said firmly, rolling up his sleeves. "Let's figure this out. Together." As night fell, Alex and Lyra prepared to take their next steps. With each passing moment, their bond grew stronger, forged in the crucible of mystery and mutual trust. Little did they know, however, that their efforts were about to attract unwanted attention and force them to confront dangers neither of them could have anticipated. The hum of the makeshift device echoed through the attic as Alex and Lyra worked tirelessly to refine its design. Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly above them, stars twinkling like distant beacons. Inside, however, their world was anything but peaceful. The tension in the air was palpable, a mix of hope and unease that weighed heavily on both of them. "We're close," Alex muttered under his breath, adjusting wires inside the machine. His hands were steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "Just one more frequency adjustment." Lyra stood nearby, her glowing skin dimmed to avoid drawing attention. She watched Alex with quiet admiration, marveling at how quickly he had adapted to this extraordinary situation. Despite his initial disbelief, he had thrown himself into solving the problem with relentless determination. It reminded her of his father, Dr. Samuel Carter, a man whose brilliance had earned her people's respect and gratitude. Suddenly, a faint vibration rippled through the floorboards, followed by the distant sound of footsteps crunching against gravel outside. Both Alex and Lyra froze, exchanging alarmed glances. "They're here," Lyra whispered urgently, her voice barely audible. "The ones who hunt me. They'd found us." Alex's heart raced as he scrambled to his feet. "How?" "We've been careful. They track energy signatures," Lyra explained grimly. "Every time I use my abilities or interact with the device, it leaves traces. They must have traced them back to this location." Panic surged within Alex, but he forced himself to stay calm. "All right, we need to move. Now." He grabbed the prototype device, stuffing it into his backpack along with his father's journal. "Do you know where we can go? Somewhere safe?" Lyra hesitated, then nodded. "There is a place, an old gateway hidden deep in the forest. If we reach it, I might be able to stabilize the connection long enough to send a signal to Vorthen. But getting there will not be easy." Without another word, they crept downstairs, avoiding creaky steps and loose floorboards. The house was eerily silent, save for the occasional groan of settling wood. As they slipped out the back door, Alex caught sight of shadowy figures moving stealthily across the yard. Whoever, or whatever, they were closing in fast. "Stick close to me," Alex instructed, leading Lyra toward the tree line. "If we stay in the open, they'll spot us." The forest loomed ahead, dark and foreboding. Its dense canopy blocked out most of the moonlight, casting long shadows that seemed alive in the shifting breeze. Alex flicked on his flashlight, keeping the beam low to avoid detection. Behind him, Lyra moved silently, her presence almost ghost-like. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the atmosphere grew heavier. Every snap of a twig or rustle of leaves made Alex's nerves tighten further. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, not just by the hunters pursuing them, but by something else, something ancient and primal. "This way," Lyra urged softly, pointing toward a narrow trail veiled by overgrown bushes. "The gateway lies beyond." They pressed onward, their pace quickening as the sounds of pursuit grew louder. Voices murmured in the distance, speaking in languages neither Alex nor Lyra could understand. Occasionally, flashes of light illumina hid the trees, accompanied by strange crackling noises that sent shivers down Alex's spine. "We're not going to make it," Alex panted, clutching the strap of his backpack tightly. "They're too close." Lyra stopped abruptly, turning to face him. Her expression was resolute, though tinged with sadness. "Then I will hold them off while you continue. You must complete the mission, Alex, for your father and for Earth." "No," Alex shot back firmly, shaking his head. "I'm not leaving you behind. Not after everything you've done." Before Lyra could argue further, a blinding flash erupted nearby, forcing them to dive behind a fallen log for cover. When the light faded, 3 figures emerged from the shadows. Tall, angular beings clad in sleek black armor. Their eyes glowed ominously, scanning the area with predatory precision. "They've cornered us," Alex whispered, his voice trembling. "What do we do now?" Lyra placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Trust me," she said simply. Then, without warning, she stepped out into the open, raising her arms in a gesture of surrender. "Wait," Alex hissed, reaching out instinctively to stop her, but it was too late. The armored figures turned their attention to Lyra, their weapons trained on her. One of them spoke in a harsh, guttural tone, though Alex couldn't understand the words. Lyra responded calmly, her voice carrying an authority that surprised him. Whatever she said seemed to agitate the group, prompting them to close in cautiously. Seizing the opportunity, Alex crept around the edge of the clearing, staying low to avoid detection. His mind raced, searching for a plan. He couldn't let Lyra face them alone. But what could he possibly do against such advanced adversaries? Then it hit him. The device. If he could activate it remotely, even partially, it might create enough chaos to give them a chance to escape. Fumbling with the controls, Alex triggered the machine's startup sequence. A high-pitched whine filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. The armored figures paused, distracted by the noise. Lyra seized the moment, unleashing a burst of energy that sent two of them sprawling backward. "Run," she shouted, motioning for Alex to join her. Together, they sprinted deeper into the forest, the device pulsing erratically in Alex's hands. Behind them, angry shouts echoed through the trees, accompanied by bursts of light as the pursuers regrouped. They were relentless, gaining ground with every step. Finally, they reached the gateway site, a circular clearing surrounded by towering stones etched with intricate carvings. At its center stood a pedestal, cracked and weathered but still functional. Lyra rushed forward, placing her hands on the surface and channeling her remaining strength into stabilizing the connection. "It's working," she cried, her voice strained. "Quickly, Alex, activate the device." Alex didn't hesitate. With shaking hands, he connected the prototype to the pedestal, initiating the final sequence. The air shimmered violently, and a portal began to form, swirling with colors unlike anything he'd ever seen. But before they could celebrate, the armored figures arrived, surrounding the clearing. Trapped and outnumbered, Alex prepared for the worst. Then, unexpectedly, a deafening roar split the night. From the darkness emerged a massive creature, part beast, part machine, its eyes blazing with fury. It charged at the attackers, scattering them like leaves in a storm. "What is that?" Alex gasped, staring in awe. "A guardian," Lyra replied, relief washing over her face. "It protects the gateway from intruders." With the path cleared, Alex and Lyra stepped through the portal together, leaving behind the chaos and uncertainty of the forest. On the other side awaited answers, and perhaps salvation. But one thing was certain: their journey was far from over. The portal spat them out into a realm that defied logic. Colors swirled around them like liquid rainbows, shifting and pulsing as if alive. The air was thick with an electric hum, vibrating against their skin in a way that felt both alien and strangely familiar. Alex stumbled forward, clutching his backpack tightly, while Lyra stood beside him, her shimmering form glowing faintly in the surreal landscape. "Where are we?" Alex asked, his voice barely audible over the ambient noise. "This is the dimensional corridor," Lyra explained, her tone calm but tinged with urgency. "It connects worlds, allowing safe passage between them. But it's unstable without proper calibration. We could be pulled into any number of realities." Alex glanced at her, his brow furrowed. "So we're not safe yet." "No," Lyra admitted, "but this is our best chance to reach Vorthen and send a signal back to Zenthara for help." As they moved cautiously through the corridor, Alex couldn't help but marvel at the strange beauty surrounding them. Streams of light twisted overhead, forming patterns that seemed to tell stories he couldn't quite understand. Occasionally, fragments of distant worlds flickered into view. Towering cities made of crystal, endless oceans under twin suns, desolate wastelands, dotted with ruins older than time itself. Despite the wonder, fear lingered in the back of Alex's mind. Every step felt precarious, as though the ground beneath them might dissolve at any moment. And then there was the looming threat of their pursuers. Had the armored figures followed them through the portal? Or were they still trapped on Earth? "We need to keep moving," Lyra urged, breaking the silence. "The longer we stay here, the greater the risk of being lost forever." Alex nodded, forcing himself to focus. He adjusted the straps of his backpack, ensuring the prototype device remained secure. It was their lifeline, the only thing standing between success and failure. Without it, they'd be stranded in this bizarre limbo indefinitely. As they walked, Lyra began sharing more about her world. She described Zenthura in vivid detail, its sprawling landscapes bathed in perpetual twilight, its towering spires of living metal that pulsed with energy, and its people, a peaceful yet advanced civilization, driven by curiosity and cooperation. Her words painted a picture so breathtaking that Alex found himself longing to see it firsthand. "But why did your people choose to work with my dad?" Alex asked after a pause. "Why take the risk of reaching out to humans?" Lyra hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Your father believed in balance, not just between worlds, but within individuals. He saw potential in humanity, a spark of creativity and resilience that reminded him of Zenthura's early days. Together, he and Vorthen hoped to forge a partnership based on mutual respect." Alex absorbed her words, feeling a mixture of pride and sorrow. His father had always been enigmatic, disappearing into his lab for hours on end without explanation. Now, Alex understood that those absences weren't signs of neglect. They were acts of devotion, sacrifices made for something far greater than either of them had imagined. "What happens if we fail?" Alex asked quietly, voicing the question that had haunted him since the beginning. "If we can't fix the device or contact Vorthen?" Lyra stopped walking and turned to face him. Her luminous eyes reflected both determination and vulnerability. "Then Earth risks exposure to those who seek to exploit it, and to those who fear what it represents. Balance would be lost, and chaos would follow." Her honesty sent a chill down Alex's spine. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on him, but instead of overwhelming him, it fueled his resolve. "We won't fail," he said firmly, meeting her gaze. "Not after everything we've been through." Lyra smiled faintly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You remind me of him, your father. His courage inspires us even now." Before Alex could respond, the corridor shifted abruptly. The swirling colors darkened, taking on a menacing hue. A low rumble echoed through the space, growing louder with each passing second. Ahead of them, the pathway fractured, splitting into multiple directions. "What's happening?" Alex shouted, struggling to maintain his footing as the ground trembled beneath them. "The corridor is destabilizing," Lyra replied, panic creeping into her voice. "We must choose a path quickly, or risk being torn apart." She pointed toward one of the fractures, where a faint glow emanated from the void. "That way leads to Vorthen's domain. If we can reach it, we'll have a chance." Without hesitation, Alex grabbed her hand, and together they sprinted toward the glowing rift. Behind them, the corridor began collapsing, chunks of reality dissolving into nothingness. They leaped across gaps and dodged falling debris, their hearts pounding in unison. Just as they reached the edge of the rift, a sudden surge of energy knocked them off their feet. Alex landed hard, skidding across the shifting surface. Pain shot through his side, but he forced himself to sit up, searching frantically for Lyra. "I'm here," she called out, crawling toward him. Her glow had dimmed significantly, and her movements were sluggish. The strain, "It's too much." "No," Alex said sharply, pulling her to her feet. "You're not giving up. Not now." Summoning every ounce of strength, they plunged into the rift together. For a brief moment, everything went black. Then, with a blinding flash, they emerged on the other side. They found themselves standing in a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures that refracted light in dazzling patterns. In the center of the room floated a massive orb, pulsating with energy. Around it hovered holographic projections of planets, stars, and intricate diagrams, detailing interdimensional networks. "This is Vorthen's sanctum," Lyra whispered, awe evident in her voice. Before they could take another step, a deep, resonant voice echoed through the chamber. "Who dares enter my domain?" From the shadows stepped a towering figure cloaked in flowing robes. His presence radiated power, yet there was kindness in his gaze as he studied them. This was Vorthin, the leader of Zenthara, and the mysterious ally of Alex's father. "Vorthin," Lyra said, bowing slightly. "I am Lyra. I came seeking aid." "And you?" Vorthin asked, turning his attention to Alex. "How does a human child find his way here?" Alex swallowed nervously but stood tall. "My name is Alex Carter. My father worked with you, Dr. Samuel Carter. I think he left something behind, something that can help us restore balance." Vorthin's expression softened, and for a moment, Alex thought he saw a glimmer of sadness. Samuel was a remarkable individual. His legacy lives on, not just in his work, but in those he touched. With Vorthin's guidance, they set to work repairing the device using tools and resources available in the sanctum. As they collaborated, Alex and Lyra grew closer, their bond strengthened by shared struggles and newfound understanding. Despite the challenges ahead, they faced them together, two beings from vastly different worlds united by hope and trust. When the device finally hummed to life, signaling a stable connection to Zenthara, Alex felt a surge of triumph. But as he looked at Lyra, he realized the hardest part was yet to come. Fixing the technology meant saying goodbye. "For now." "You've done well," Vorthin said, placing a hand on Alex's shoulder. "Your father would be proud." Alex nodded, blinking back tears. "Thank you for everything." Lyra approached him, her glow radiant once more. "This isn't goodbye forever," she promised. "Our worlds are connected now. Someday we'll meet again." As the portal reopened, Lyra stepped through, leaving Alex with a final smile. Though separated by dimensions, their journey had forged a bond that transcended distance, a testament to the power of courage, curiosity, and collaboration. The sanctum was alive with energy, the crystalline structures casting prismatic reflections across the chamber. Vorthin stood beside Alex, his towering figure exuding both authority and wisdom. His robes shimmered faintly, as though woven from starlight itself. Despite his imposing presence, there was a warmth in his demeanor, a quality that reminded Alex of his father. "You've accomplished much," Vorthin said, his voice deep but soothing. "But repairing the device is only the first step. Now comes the harder decision." Alex frowned, glancing at the prototype device resting on a pedestal before them. Its lights pulsed steadily, indicating a stable connection to Zenthara. "What do you mean?" he asked cautiously. Vorthin gestured toward the holographic projections surrounding them. Images of Earth, Zenthara, and countless other planets intertwined in a delicate web of connections. This technology does more than facilitate travel between worlds. It serves as a failsafe, a safeguard your father helped design. Activating it will expose Earth's location to all nearby civilizations. "Expose it?" Alex echoed, his stomach sinking. "You mean everyone out there will know we exist?" "Precisely," Vorthin replied gravely. "Some factions view Earth as untapped potential, a resource waiting to be claimed. Others see it as a threat, fearing humanity's rapid evolution could destabilize interstellar balance. Either way, revealing Earth's position carries risks." Alex's mind raced. He had always imagined aliens as distant, unknowable beings. But now, faced with the reality of their existence, he realized how fragile humanity truly was. What would happen if hostile forces descended upon Earth? Would they bring destruction or salvation? "And if I don't activate it?" Alex asked quietly, dread creeping into his voice. "What happens then?" Vorthin hesitated, his piercing gaze locking onto Alex. "Then Earth remains isolated, hidden from the galaxy, shielded by its own obscurity. But isolation comes at a cost. Without allies, humanity will face future challenges alone." "And Lyra?" He trailed off, letting the implication hang in the air. Alex clenched his fists, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Why did everything have to come down to impossible choices? If he activated the device, He risked exposing Earth to danger. If he didn't, he condemned Lyra, and possibly himself, to uncertainty. "I need time to think," Alex muttered, stepping away from the pedestal. He wandered toward the edge of the chamber, where holograms of Earth floated serenely. Each image depicted a different aspect of the planet. Bustling cities, vast oceans, sprawling forests, humanity's achievements and vulnerabilities laid bare for him to see. Lyra's words echoed in his mind. "Your kind has much to offer. Passion, creativity, resilience." She believed in humanity's potential. Could he let fear dictate his decision? As he wrestled with his thoughts, Vorthen approached silently. "Samuel faced similar dilemmas," he said gently. "He often spoke of humanity's capacity for growth. He believed that while imperfection was inevitable, so too was progress." "But what if I make the wrong choice?" Alex asked, turning to face him. "What if I put everyone in danger?" "There are no guarantees," Vorthen admitted. "Only intentions. Your father taught us that courage lies not in avoiding risk, but in embracing it for the sake of something greater." The weight of those words settled over Alex like a heavy blanket. Courage. That was what this moment demanded. Not recklessness, but thoughtful action guided by hope rather than fear. Determined to find a middle ground, Alex returned to the pedestal and examined the device closely. The journal lay open beside it, its pages filled with his father's meticulous notes. One passage caught his eye. "Communication bridges understanding. Exposure without preparation invites chaos. Selective outreach fosters trust." An idea began to form in Alex's mind. What if they didn't broadcast Earth's location indiscriminately? What if they sent a targeted signal instead, one directed solely at Vorthen and Xanthara? "We can modify the device," Alex announced suddenly, spinning around to face Vorthen. "Instead of broadcasting to everyone, we send a direct message to Xanthara. That way, we build trust incrementally, without tipping off hostile factions." Vorthen raised an eyebrow, intrigued. A bold suggestion, but such modifications require precision and time. "We've got enough of both," Alex insisted. "With your help, we can recalibrate the system. It'll buy Earth some breathing room while we figure out the next steps." For a moment, Vorthen studied Alex intently, as though weighing the merits of his proposal. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Very well. Let us proceed." Working together, Alex, Vorthen, and Lyra dismantled parts of the device, reconfiguring its parameters to focus the transmission. Alex handled the physical adjustments, guided by Vorthen's expertise, while Lyra provided insights into Xantharan frequencies. Their collaboration was seamless, each person contributing their unique strengths to the task. As they worked, Alex couldn't help but notice how natural it felt to be part of this team. For years, he'd felt like an outsider, adrift in a world that didn't quite understand him. But here, surrounded by beings who valued knowledge and cooperation, he finally felt like he belonged. Finally, after hours of intense effort, the modified device hummed softly, ready for activation. Alex stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. "All right," he said, taking a deep breath. "Let's do this." Vorthen placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Remember, Alex, the path forward may be uncertain, but humanity's greatest strength lies in its ability to adapt. Trust in that." With a nod, Alex pressed the activation button. A beam of light shot upward, piercing through the crystalline ceiling and disappearing into the void beyond. Moments later, a response came, a gentle pulse of energy rippling through the chamber. "It worked," Lyra whispered, her voice brimming with relief. "They've received our signal." Vorthen smiled faintly, his expression one of quiet satisfaction. "Xanthara acknowledges your efforts. This marks the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Earth, but for all worlds connected by shared purpose." As the trio prepared to part ways, Alex turned to Lyra, his heart heavy with mixed emotions. "So, this is goodbye for now." "For now," she confirmed, offering him a small smile. But remember, Alex, you've given humanity a voice among the stars. That changes everything. Before leaving, Lyra handed him a tiny crystalline shard glowing faintly with her essence. "Take this," she said softly. "It's a piece of me, a reminder that distance doesn't diminish bonds forged in trust and courage." Alex accepted the shard, holding it close as tears welled in his eyes. Though their time together had been brief, Lyra's impact on him was profound. She had shown him a universe full of wonder and taught him to believe in his own potential. As the portal reopened and Lyra stepped through, Alex watched until the shimmering gateway faded completely. When he turned back, Vorthen stood waiting, his expression thoughtful. "You've inherited more than your father's legacy," Vorthen said. "You carry his spirit within you. Use it wisely." With renewed determination, Alex nodded. The road ahead would be challenging, but he was ready. Humanity had taken its first cautious steps toward joining the interstellar community, and Alex intended to lead the way. The journey's vibrant. Vorthen had accompanied him briefly, ensuring the modified device remained stable during transit, but even his presence couldn't fill the void left by Lyra's absence. As they emerged into the forest clearing where their adventure began, Alex took a deep breath, savoring the crisp night air. "You've done well," Vorthen said, his voice resonating with quiet pride. "Few humans possess the courage and foresight you've shown." Alex nodded, though he didn't feel particularly brave. Instead, he felt a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration, a sense that he'd been thrust into something far greater than himself. "I just hope it's enough," he replied softly. "For Earth, and for Lyra." Vorthen placed a reassuring hand on Alex's shoulder. "Your actions have ensured humanity's place in the cosmos will not go unnoticed. Trust in the alliances we forge, and in your own strength." With those final words, Vorthen stepped back into the portal, leaving Alex alone beneath the stars. The crystalline shard Lyra had given him rested securely in his pocket, its faint glow a comforting reminder of their bond. Though she was light years away, Alex knew she was still with him, in spirit, if not in person. The days that followed were surreal. News outlets buzzed with reports of strange phenomena across the globe, unexplained lights in the sky, mysterious symbols appearing on satellite images, and whispers of contact from beyond Earth. Scientists debated endlessly, while conspiracy theorists ran wild with speculation. Yet amidst the chaos, Alex remained grounded, knowing the truth behind the headlines. He returned to school, resuming his routine as best he could. But everything felt different now. The once ordinary halls seemed smaller, the faces around him more significant. Every interaction reminded him of how interconnected life truly was, not just on Earth, but throughout. Jake noticed the change immediately. "Dude, what's up with you lately?" he asked one afternoon during lunch. "You've been acting all philosophical or something." Alex chuckled, shaking his head. "Just thinking about stuff," he said vaguely. How could he explain alien portals, interstellar diplomacy, and glowing shards without sounding completely insane? "Well, whatever it is, you seem happier," Jake observed. "Like you've got this weird glow about you." Alex froze, glancing down at his pocket. Was it possible the shard was influencing him somehow? Or maybe Jake was picking up on something else, the newfound confidence Alex carried since meeting Lyra and learning about his father's legacy. "Yeah, I guess I am happier," Alex admitted after a pause. "Things are changing for the better." At home, Alex spent hours poring over his father's journal, piecing together fragments of information about his work with Zenthora. Each entry revealed more about Dr. Samuel Carter, not just as a scientist, but as a man who believed deeply in humanity's potential. It was bittersweet, uncovering these details years after his death, but also profoundly healing. For the first time, Alex felt connected to his father in ways he never thought possible. One evening, As he sat cross-legged on the attic floor surrounded by notes and diagrams, the shard began to pulse faintly. Startled, Alex picked it up, holding it close to examine the glow. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the air, and an image flickered into view, a holographic projection of Lyra. "Alex," she said, her voice warm despite the static distortion. "I wanted to see how you were doing." His heart leaped at the sight of her. "Lyra, you're okay." She smiled faintly, her luminous eyes reflecting concern. "I'm safe, thanks to you. And Earth's signal has reached Zenthera successfully. Our leaders are preparing for formal communication." "That's amazing." Alex breathed, relief washing over him. "Does this mean people will know soon?" "Not yet," Lyra replied carefully. "There's much to discuss before making contact official. But rest assured, humanity has taken its first steps toward joining the galactic community." Alex nodded, absorbing her words. "And what about us? Will I ever see you again?" Lyra hesitated, then reached out as if to touch him through the projection. "Distance means little when bonds are strong. We'll find a way, Alex. Until then, keep believing in yourself and in the future." Her image faded, leaving Alex clutching the shard tightly. Though their conversation was brief, it filled him with renewed purpose. He wasn't just a bystander in this unfolding story. He was an active participant, shaping humanity's role among the stars. Weeks turned into months, and the world gradually adjusted to the idea of extraterrestrial life. Governments established task forces to study the phenomenon, while scientists raced to develop technologies capable of sustaining interstellar communication. Meanwhile, Alex continued his own research, determined to honor his father's work and contribute to human